Okay, so first, thank you for having me today. I will talk about flipped learning method as a strengthening or contradiction of the educational governance principles. To do so, the following is the plan. We will talk first of all through an introduction, then presenting the problem statement and the research questions, and then present our research methodology and research finding. I would first mention that unfortunately till now we did not collect the all number of data supposed to be due to some constraint links to the holidays in the country or the study case we're working on. Uh, well, let's start then. The topic today is about the flipped classroom, which can be defined simply as everything which was traditionally done in the classroom is done now at home. So students or as I said, students or teenagers or child who previously did their classes during class now start doing it in the class. Uh, Through this flipped learning method, the student gets more responsibility and the professor gets more and more with less accountability but more flexibility regarding the homework doing and works done during the class. The research statement is the following: is the flipped learning method a strengthening or contradiction of the educational governance principles? We did first talk about the definitions, and then we did ask ourselves what are the similarities and differences between the flipped learning and the university governance, because our study case is about a university. And then we it pops in our mind what is the intersection existing between implementation of governance and the flipped learning method, and then if there is any impact from flipped learning or governance, which one on the other one, and vice versa. And then if there is any contribution from the flipped learning on the enhancement of governance principles within the students. Our research methodology was the following. We did first collect some secondary data to deal with a narrative or literature review, on which we did a debate regarding the existing literature on the governance and the flipped learning. And then we did collect some primary data through a questionnaire, was normally should be addressed to 50 students, but we did reach till now only 30 because of the holiday they have currently. So the results we're going to present right now are not the total results. As the qualitative results funding, we did found that there is some similarities actually between the university governance and the flipped learning method. We can sum up in some general points, which are there is some increasing in terms of autonomy. The stakeholders, such as professors, university, and students, should have with less control and a lot of access to enormous content from different sources and availability of information. So as I was talking about, the governance principles are enormous to talk about. We can talk about gender participation, legitimacy, absence of corruption, etc. And for the university, based on flipped learning methods, there is some aspects that we should follow, such as dealing with the specific pedagogy, having more responsibility, respecting ethics and gender diversification, etc. So the common points of intersections could be, for example, the student role that gets more higher during the flipped learning, responsibility, accountability, and participation. Based on those variables, we did dress our questionnaire in which 52% of the interviewers would been from having already a bachelor degree before being in the programs they do right now. Then totality or the quasi totality from them are outside of the country of study case, which is Germany. And then based on that, we can understand that the use of the flipped learning method to learn German as a foreign language will be really useful for them. So they start using speaking German during the class and outside of the class. 16% of them said that they are able to use this language outside and during the class to speak with their colleagues, which means that the flipped learning method was being good enough to teach them a new language. Regarding motivation, we did ask students about their motivation during or for doing a flipped learning class or a normal lecture, and more than the half of the students really did prove a huge motivation to study through flipped learning. They do actually attend classes so often like the normal attendance for the normal lectures, and they've been kind of or so often committed to attend the class. Regarding the professors, and similarly to the normal courses, they've been flexible regarding doing homeworks, but more flexible if we talk about being or attending the classes. About students, their sense of commitment is more higher regarding to their answers while doing some homeworks at home, which was not expected because generally students prefer to avoid doing homeworks or doing anything regarding their self-learning if they were not supposed to do or imposed to do it. But through flipped learning, they've been highly committed to do such a things depending on their answers. Also, if we talk about the diversification or gender issues, all of them or 92% of them proved that flipped learning did increase their multicultural communications abilities. They also would like to work in a group, and they have this ability through to working together with other colleagues. So in the end, they 100% or the totality of the interviewers proved that if they gain some new principles such as responsibility and commitment from these flipped learning classes, they would like to apply it in the professional life. So we can conclude that learning through flipped learning method did increase actually their some governance principles, so they will be able to use them later in their professional life. To sum up, we would like to mention, as I said before, this presentation is only based on some primary results, and we think that later we can develop those findings to more deep questions linked to correlation between variables and what kind of relation is existing between flipped learning and governance. As promised, it could be available on the working paper in the end, and that's it. If you have any question, I am open, and thank you.